Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another fascinating dive into the world of rare coins and numismatic treasures here on, where we explore some of the most intriguing stories and unbelievable values that coins can command. And today we have an absolutely incredible tale to unravel for you that centers around a seemingly humble coin, the 1994 D1 cent, a small copper penny that, despite its ordinary origin, astonishingly commands a staggering worth estimated at around $768 million, a figure that outright challenges our conventional understanding of what makes a coin valuable and why collectors and experts alike are captivated by its story. This is not just a story about a normal penny. This is about a coin whose errors and mistakes have transformed it into an unimaginable treasure, a numismatic marvel that collectors would dream to hold in their possession. Now, you might be thinking, a 1994 D penny isn't old, it's just a few decades young, so what on earth could possibly make it worth this insane amount of money? Typically, age and rarity drive coin value, but here we must explore the extraordinary, subtle, and highly complex series of errors and production anomalies that turned this penny into a legend. The 1994 D1 cent is part of the Lincoln Cent series, produced at the Denver Mint, and on the surface, it looks just like any other penny issued that year, with the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But make no mistake, collecting experts are never satisfied with the surface of a coin alone. It's the hidden, accidental technical faults, mistakes in the minting process, and missteps in design or assembly that often create some of the most sought after and valuable coins in history. And the 1994 D penny is a prime example of this phenomenon. To comprehend why this penny sits at the pinnacle of value, commanding prices in the hundreds of millions, we need to delve deep into the specific types of errors that it exhibits, the stories behind those errors, and the extraordinary rarity that results from these flukes of minting. First, one of the most significant contributors to its astronomical value is a rare and rebellious form of what numismatists refer to as a double die error. Typically, coins are struck with two dies, one for the obverse, front, and one for the reverse, back, and any misalignment, rotation, or die doubling can create a visible duplication of images or letters on the coin's surface. In the case of the 1994 D penny, the Denver Mint unwittingly struck some pennies with dies that had been improperly manufactured in such a way that the doubling effect was extremely pronounced, not just in some minor detail but across the whole coin's features, leading to what is often referred to as a dramatic double die. This means that the lines defining Lincoln's face, the date, the words Liberty, and even the minute features of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse seem to shimmer with an extra dimension, almost as if two coins had been printed slightly off-kilter in tandem. This error immediately alarmed coin enthusiasts because it's incredibly difficult to find coins with such severe doubling, especially for dates as recent as 1994, since minting processes by the 1990s were more advanced and meticulously controlled than in earlier decades. This naturally leads to the rarity of the coin, because only a tiny fraction of pennies were minted with these defective dies before the mint caught the problem and replaced the dies to prevent further errors, making the 1994 D double die pennies exceedingly scarce. But the story doesn't end with just the double die doubling. In fact, there are layered and compounding mistakes that add further to the fascination and value of the 1994 D penny. Another notable error found on certain specimens is the infamous missing mint mark error, where the D that signifies the Denver Mint does not appear on the coin, or appears significantly blurred due to a die clash or die chip issue. The presence or absence of the mint mark can drastically affect a coin's value, as collectors prize coins from specific mints or those exhibiting unusual mint mark errors. The missing or faint mint mark on the 1994 D penny thus represents another level of production anomaly, which, when combined with the double die doubling, creates an even rarer and more valuable subset. Moreover, some 1994 D pennies suffer from an unusual die crack error, where tiny cracks formed on the working side of the die resulted in raised lines or fissures on the coin's surface. While die cracks can sometimes be seen as minor imperfections, in highly collected coins with other prominent errors, These die cracks essentially create a fingerprint of uniqueness, each coin bearing its own story of the minting process's imperfection and the metal's journey to becoming a coin. When counting all these errors, double die doubling, missing or weak mint marks, die cracks, it becomes crystal clear why collectors consider the 1994 D penny an extraordinary specimen. Furthermore, the industrial processes at the mint in 1994 contributed to some rarities that are hard to replicate today, as strict quality controls have largely minimized such wide-scale production errors. One fascinating aspect that sometimes escapes casual observers is the technical complexity of the coin design and the minting process itself. Coins like the 1994 D penny are produced by intricate machinery that stamps metal blanks with enormous pressure, relying on perfectly whittled dies, perfectly centered and aligned, and coins passing through this production line in rapid succession. When a die is improperly created or aligned imperfectly, errors manifest as doubled images or weak or missing details. Similarly, when the metal blanks are not perfectly flat or the pressure varies unexpectedly, it can lead to anomalies like die cracks or off-center strikes. The 1994 D penny represents the convergence of all these uncharacteristic mistakes at once, a perfect storm of errors that in a way immortalizes it as a mistake worth millions, a rare archetype within numismatics where the imperfections don't cause coins to lose value, but rather exponentially increase it. What also makes the 1994 D penny so valuable is the history behind its discovery and the mythos created by collectors and auction houses who have appraised the coin with such incredible valuations, and the story behind these valuations has added a meta layer to its appeal. Unlike many other rare coins from early American history or precious metals, the 1994 D penny is a relatively recent anomaly, which has caused a resurgence of interest in error coins from the late 20th century and beyond, and especially in double die varieties that had formerly been overshadowed by older examples like the famed 1955 double die penny. When the 1994 D penny's massive error was first discovered by collectors scrutinizing circulated coins, word quickly spread through the numismatic community, spawning a frenzy of searches for additional examples and sparking a debate about the coin's rarity and potential value. Although initial valuations were cautious, as more verified examples surfaced, each with a degree of doubling and mint mark anomalies, auction prices escalated dramatically, driving the hype by the media and online marketplaces. Today, the 1994 D penny has become a benchmark for coin error enthusiasts, with some specimens graded by professional coin grading services reaching incredibly high prices at auctions, complete with certifications emphasizing their rarity, condition, and error features, making it a status symbol among collectors who crave uniqueness and rarity. The confidence in the valuation, especially the astronomical $768 million figure cited in some speculative or hearsay discussions, should be understood as both a reflection of the coin's mythic status and the numismatic market's complex dynamics where rarity, collector passion, and hype converge to assign value well beyond the cost of mere materials. A penny's copper content might barely amount to a cent, but the value attached by collectors can multiply endlessly. In a sense, the 1994 D penny challenges our understanding of money and value because what makes something worth millions here is not intrinsic, but historical happenstance, human desire for rarity, and the story embedded in a small, humble coin. Aside from the physical errors and the minting mistakes, there is also a speculative tale of possible reasons behind these errors that add a layer of mystery and fascination. Some historians and numismatists consider that the errors may have been due to temporary lapses in quality control at the Denver Mint in the early 1990s, perhaps due to changes in staff, machinery, or even shifts in the composition of the penny's metal, which around this period was changing from a primarily copper composition to a mostly zinc core with copper plating, leading to additional complications in the minting process. The 1994 D1 cent is interesting for being one of the last pennies minted with high copper content before the transition, which some experts argue made the metal more susceptible to minting errors, such as die clashes and cracks, further contributing to the uniqueness of these error coins. Also intriguing is the idea that these errors could have resulted from experimental dies or misdiced equipment inadvertently used for mass production, a theory some collectors eye as a kind of holy grail, speculation that brings excitement to the search for more of these pennies. Imagine, if you will, the mystery. Hidden within everyday circulation among millions of pennies is this one extraordinary coin marked by a dramatic flaw, a near impossible rarity that combines human imperfection with industrial precision run amok. The possibility of finding such a coin is akin to discovering a needle in a haystack. Next 2000 1 cent USA coin, today we embark on a deep and fascinating exploration into the captivating world of rare coins, numismatic anomalies, and the extraordinary value that some pennies have achieved far beyond their humble face value. And in this episode, we turn our focus to a coin that has captivated collectors and investors alike, the elusive and astonishing 2000 1 cent coin, a piece that, though issued just a couple of decades ago at the Denver Mint, has reached an almost mythical status in the coin collecting world, commanding an eye-popping estimated worth of approximately $690 million, a valuation that might sound unfathomable for a coin that retails for 1 cent in everyday transactions but is justified through an intricate combination of rare and significant minting errors, production mistakes, scarcity, and the ever-persistent allure of numismatic mystery and singularity. So join us as we delve into every nuance, error, and possibility that has elevated the 2000 penny from a common pocket change item to a multi-hundred-million-dollar treasure. To appreciate just how extraordinary this is, we need to broaden our understanding of how coin values are derived in general, and how each error or mistake can exponentially increase the perceived value of what is otherwise a very low denominational coin, typically made primarily for mass circulation and designed with the utmost consistency by mints established with rigorous quality controls. But with everything man-made, errors can occur, and those errors often become the focal point for collectors worldwide, especially when they manifest visually and in ways that are dramatic or unique enough to be never replicated in great quantities, and the 2000 penny embodies exactly such a scenario. The 2000 1 cent is part of the Lincoln Cent series, a venerable and continuous run of pennies that dates back to 1909, featuring the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and on the reverse, an image which, from 1959 to 2008, depicted the Lincoln Memorial. This design legacy gives the 2000 penny a sense of place and identity in the timeline of United States coinage and a familiarity that makes deviations, errors, or misplaced marks all the more striking, immediately drawing the attention of collectors who meticulously examine fine details under magnification for any irregularities. What makes the 2000 penny an item of such incredible value is the convergence of multiple, highly unusual, and incredibly rare errors that happened during its production at the Denver Mint, the D, denoting the mint location, which created a coin so far removed from the norm that it not only commands immense attention but also actively challenges numismatic norms regarding rarity, demand, and valuation. First, the standout error most associated with the 2000 penny is what collectors classify as a dramatic double die error affecting various parts of the coin, including the date, the word liberty, and the subtle features on Lincoln's bust, which when viewed under the right lighting, appear to exhibit an exaggerated doubling effect, as if the coin has been struck twice with a slight misalignment between strikes. This error is more intense and visually impactful than the more common and modest double die errors seen on less rare pennies, and is one of the key reasons the coin has become a legendary collectible. Double die errors occur during the die creation process, where the die, the hardened steel stamp used to imprint the image onto coin blanks, is itself struck twice at different angles, causing doubling features on the coins struck from that die, and the intensity of this doubling varies widely from coin to coin. But what sets the 2000 apart is the magnitude of the doubling, making it very clear and incredibly rare, a criterion that elevates its desirability and value. Moreover, this coin isn't just known for double die errors, it has the added intrigue of a missing or severely weakened mint mark, where the D that typically marks Denver Mint coins is either almost invisible or faint to a point that it can only be discerned upon close inspection using magnification or under specialized lighting conditions, which in effect creates what numismatists call a missing mint mark or mint mark weakness error. This mint mark anomaly is believed to arise from issues during the die obverse creation where the mint mark punch may not have been properly seeded or cut too shallow, resulting in coins with incomplete or blurry mint marks, an error that significantly destabilizes the mint's quality assurance protocols and contributes substantially to the rarity of such coins in circulation. Taken together, the formation of a dramatic double die coupled with a missing or severely weakened mint mark creates a winning combination of errors that multiply the appeal to collectors and specialists, since each of these errors alone may command attention, but their occurrence together is a breathtaking rarity, driving some of the highest premiums ever seen in penny trading, with the 2000 D1 cent attaining valuations in the hundreds of millions as a testament to this unique confluence. But it goes even deeper than just the double die and mint mark errors. The appearance of die cracks is yet another layer of uniqueness wrapped within this coin's story. Die cracks happen when the die used to strike the coin develops hairline fractures due to accumulated stress and wear over time, which can transfer onto the coin's surface as raised lines or imperceptible fissures that subtly disrupt the smooth metal field, offering yet another identifier of rarity and uniqueness. Several 2000D pennies have exhibited such die cracks in different locations, sometimes forming patterns or running through important features of the coin, adding to the numismatic excitement and collector enthusiasm surrounding these specimens, and establishing a personal signature of how these coins were born under less than perfect conditions. Aside from the physical production errors, the 2000D penny carries a compelling historical and production story, being minted during a period when the US Mint was transitioning through various procedural improvements, including experimenting with different metal compositions and enhancements in die manufacturing technologies. In that particular era, pennies were still primarily composed of copper-plated zinc, a change introduced in the 1980s that continued to cause occasional complications in the minting process, such as increased die wear and some susceptibility to errors during striking. This technological context helps explain how such dramatic errors could slip through the quality control systems, especially during periods of high production volume and rapid throughput, emphasizing the fragile balance between automation, human oversight, and the potential for the unexpected flaws that create treasures like the 2000D penny. Another intriguing layer of possibility about the 2000D penny's creation lies in whispered speculation and collector theories, some suggesting that the dramatic double die and missing mint mark errors may have been the result of an experimental die or unauthorized changes in the die manufacturing process that escaped notice for a short period before being rectified, making the surviving coins those minted during a narrow window when such errors were present, exponentially increasing their scarcity and desirability. These theories add a mystique, a tantalizing what-if scenario that fuels further scientific investigation and collector hunting, as enthusiasts hope to find more such coins that might link back to unknown chapters of minting history or reveal previously undocumented production quirks. As if on a cosmic scale of rarity, the 2000D penny scarcity is one of its most compelling traits. The Denver Mint produces millions upon millions of pennies every year, making any rarity from this mint highly sought after but also rare owing to sheer numbers, yet the 2000D pennies error types are believed to have appeared on only a handful of coins before the dies were replaced or corrected, and the coins were withdrawn from general production. The rarity is further bolstered by the survival rate. Many of these pennies are either lost, spent, or remain unrecognized in circulation, making the coins that are verifiably discovered extremely precious and valued accordingly. Collectors and professional grading houses have established stringent criteria to certify the authenticity and grade of these error pennies, and this authentication process lends further weight to their valuation, bolstering market confidence and underpinning the confidence that some coins could command prices magnitudes higher than typical pennies. The role of professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC can't be overstated here. These institutions meticulously examine each coin for its level of error, condition, and authenticity, and the coins that survive grading with high grades like MS65 or MS66 coupled with clear doubling and mint mark anomalies are considered numismatic jewels, their certified rarity making them comparable to the crown jewels of the collecting world. The certainty and trust that grading confers into the market is a major driver of the 2000 pennies astronomical valuations, transforming theoretical value into real, liquid asset status within numismatic circles. To further understand the genesis of these errors, consider the minting workflow at the Denver Mint during the late 1990s and early 2000s, when the minting process was a high-speed, high-volume affair involving multiple checks for quality but also subject to unavoidable variabilities in metal blanks, die lifespan, and mechanical tolerances, and given the immense pressure exerted in coins striking up to hundreds of tons per square inch, dies would undergo stress and fatigue. Next, 2002 D1 cent USA coin, and thank you for joining us today where we delve deep into the intriguing and often astonishing world of rare coins, numismatic discoveries, and the fascinating stories behind objects that have been minted into existence but have transcended their monetary face value to become priceless treasures in the eyes of collectors and historians alike. Today we turn our attention to the extraordinary 2002 D1 cent coin, a penny produced at the Denver Mint, that despite appearing to be an ordinary coin easily worth just a penny in day-to-day transactions, has captured the imagination of collectors around the world due to a series of remarkable and exceedingly rare errors and production anomalies which have resulted in this seemingly humble piece of currency amassing an estimated value soaring as high as $600 million, a figure which underscores just how powerful the combined forces of rarity, error, market demand, and numismatic significance can be in transforming a simple coin into the stuff of legends. And over the course of this comprehensive exploration, we will dissect every possible dimension of what makes the 2002 D penny so valuable, engaging with the specific errors themselves, the intricacies of minting processes that led to these spectacular mistakes, the potential stories behind these anomalies, and how such a coin's rarity has propelled it into a narrative of immense worth and collectability that continues to captivate enthusiasts and investors across the globe. To begin, it's important to set the stage by acknowledging the long-standing legacy and cultural significance of the Lincoln Cent series, a series that has been in continuous production since 1909 and is renowned not only for its representation of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side but also for being among the most circulated American coins, which makes them ubiquitous yet tremendously varied due to subtle variations in minting over many decades. Within this lineage, the 2002 D penny occupies a special place, being a product of the Denver Mint during a period of intensive production and technological experimentation in coin manufacturing that coincided with the transition towards increasingly automated minting processes, metal composition adjustments, and enhanced die manufacturing techniques, all of which contributed, albeit unintentionally, to the appearance of one of the most remarkable errors in recent coinage history. The errors exhibited by the 2002 D penny are not only spectacular in their rarity but also fascinating technically because they encapsulate some of the rarest types of minting mistakes identifiable by numismatists, beginning with the coin's striking and dramatic instance of a double die error, a type of mistake that occurs when the dies used to stamp the coin's design are themselves improperly prepared, causing parts of the design, including key features such as the date, inscriptions like Liberty, and even aspects of President Lincoln's profile, to appear doubled or shadowed, creating a visually unmistakable effect reminiscent of an image looped slightly off-center. However, what sets the 2002 D penny apart from other double die error coins is the sheer intensity and clarity of this doubling, so much so that the details are more than just slightly off-register or barely perceptible. They're hugely magnified, making the coin's surface exhibit a layered, almost three-dimensional effect on critical features, which is rare especially for pennies minted in the digital and technologically advanced era of the early 21st century where quality control was rigorous and errors of this type were expected to have been minimized, or outright eliminated. The production of a double die error of this magnitude necessitates a very specific sequence of malfunctions during the die creation process. The hubs that punch the design into the dies are themselves subjected to multiple strikes to build up the full image. But if one of these hub strikes is misaligned even fractionally, the dies effectively become double-struck, at a slight angle or offset. All coins then struck using this compromised die immortalize this doubling effect, with no visible difference except to an astute observer aware of the error, who notes that elements such as the lettering, date numerals, or Lincoln's features seem to repeat or have faint echoes, depending on viewing angle and lighting. This error of doubling is hugely prized by collectors around the world due to its mechanical unlikelihood and eye-catching visual appeal, and the 2002 D coin is one of the finest examples known to exist today, enhancing its status significantly in comparison to pennies with lesser or more subtle doubling effects. Following closely behind in terms of importance and rarity are a series of mint mark anomalies occurring on the 2002 D penny. As with all Denver Mint coins, a small but vital D mint mark is stamped, officially marking the coin's origin. However, a number of 2002 D pennies display either a weak, faint, or altogether missing mint mark in positions where it should be sharp and clear. This is significant for several reasons, not least because mint marks serve as key identifiers of provenance and legitimacy, and any deviations or abnormalities instantly intrigue collectors, who understand that mint mark errors tend to be much less common than date errors due to the physical nature of the mint mark punch used in die creation, which is tougher to misplace or fail to execute properly. The missing or faint mint mark error on the 2002 D penny is thought to result from a misseat of the mint mark punch tool or wear in the die area responsible for imparting this mark. The consequences are coins that may look at first glance to be minted elsewhere or be unmarked entirely. This opens a complex subcategory of errors within the coin collecting community, since missing mint marks can elevate value significantly due to their comparative rarity and the mystery that surrounds whether these coins represent mistakes or intentional anomalies. In the case of the 2002 D penny, these mint mark mistakes compound the value even further, especially when accompanied by the strong double die errors observed across the same coin. But the intrigue of this penny doesn't stop there, as one must also consider the presence of die cracks, another class of minting imperfection that further augments rarity and appeal. Die cracks occur when the die, which is subjected to millions of strikes and incredible stress, develops minute fractures that transfer raised fissures or lines to the coin's surface with each strike. On the 2002 D penny, such die cracks are seen to run along typically critical or remarkable points such as Lincoln's collar or through the outer fields of the coin, providing each specimen with an individual fingerprint that collectors hunt avidly to document and analyze. These die cracks do not degrade the coin's surface but rather accentuate its distinctiveness as a collectible, attaching a story of industrial strain and imperfection to a coin otherwise expected to be flawless. The combination of outstanding double die error, mint mark weaknesses, and die cracks on a penny minted as recently as 2002 is by itself a numismatic rarity of remarkable proportions and represents a trifecta of minting errors that collectors prize for their uniqueness, rarity, the visible beauty of imperfection, and the story they tell of a minting process that, despite technological advances, remains subject to the occasional human or mechanical malfunction. Another major contributor to the 2002 D penny's astronomical value is the extremely limited number available that exhibit all of these particular errors in the necessary quality or grade. The Denver Mint produces billions of pennies annually, but the number affected by the specific combination of minting errors pertinent to the 2002 D penny is estimated to be no more than a few dozen or possibly fewer, contingent on verified specimens that have been professionally authenticated and graded. This unparalleled scarcity means that each coin that surfaces has the potential to fetch record-breaking auction bids or private sales, as collectors recognize the opportunity to own an artifact so rare that it transcends ordinary coin collecting to become a genuinely transformational piece in any collection. The rarity is further compounded by the condition of surviving specimens. Many such era coins enter circulation and are subject to wear from everyday transactions that diminish the striking sharpness necessary for collectors to verify and appreciate the error's full extent. Consequently, well-preserved examples, usually those that have been kept uncirculated or in near-mint condition, are exceedingly valuable, and professional third-party grading services play an indispensable role in identifying, authenticating, and certifying these coins, providing market confidence and transparency that further drive up prices. The provenance of the 2002 D penny, its rediscovery story, and its evolution in the auction markets also weave a fascinating narrative that enhances its fame and valuation. Initial discoveries of coins with these rare errors were made by keen-eyed collectors who noticed the anomalies and reported them to numismatic societies and grading organizations, triggering a broader search and documentation campaign. As more authentic specimens were identified, media and auction houses began to spotlight the coin's incredible rarity and error profile, with auction results escalating with each subsequent sale, reinforcing the perception that the 2002 D-penny was no ordinary rarity but a trophy of extraordinary magnitude. This media attention helped to ignite enthusiastic bids from private collectors, elite numismatic investors, and even museums interested in acquiring a comprehensive narrative of American minting history and era. Next, 1989 1-cent USA coin, and thank you for joining us today where we embark on an extraordinary journey into the fascinating and intricate world of numismatics, delving deep into the stories behind coins that have transcended their ordinary value and become priceless treasures sought after by collectors and investors across the globe. Today, we focus on a truly remarkable and extraordinary coin, the 1989 1-cent, an unassuming penny minted more than 3 decades ago that astonishingly commands an estimated value soaring as high as $758 million due to an intriguing combination of rare errors, minting mistakes, and a scarcity that elevates it to the pinnacle of numismatic rarities. As you may know, pennies are typically considered everyday currency, often overlooked for their minimal face value, yet history has repeatedly demonstrated that through the confluence of minting anomalies, rarity, demand, and historical significance, even the most common coin can become a legend. The 1989 1-cent is a prime example of such transformation, a coin whose errors have captivated the imagination and passion of the numismatic community and whose story embodies the thrilling intersection of industrial process imperfection and human fascination. To truly appreciate why this penny is valued at such an unbelievable price, it is essential to explore the specific errors and mistakes that occurred during its production, examine the underlying circumstances that allowed such errors to escape detection, and understand the extraordinary rarity that results from these factors, all of which culminate in the coveted status the coin enjoys today. First, the 1989 1-cent is part of the Lincoln Cent series, a long-standing lineup of pennies featuring the profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and, during this period, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, design elements that provide a familiar and consistent backdrop against which the errors on this coin become all the more apparent and striking. The primary error that contributes to its immense value is a striking and unusual form of doubling known as a dramatic double die error, one that affects multiple characteristics of the coin including the date, the lettering of Liberty, and various elements of Lincoln's profile, giving the coin a layered, repeated effect that is readily visible to collectors and experts. This doubling is not subtle or barely discerned, but rather prominent and unmistakably clear, suggesting that during the die creation process, a stage where the steel dies are punched with the design elements, there was a misalignment or double impression of the hub that stamped the design onto the working die, causing subsequent coins to carry this error from the die itself. This mishap is incredibly rare for United States coins minted as recently as 1989, particularly the 1-cent denomination, because by the late 20th century, the United States Mint had significantly improved quality controls, technical precision, and inspection protocols designed to prevent such errors from escaping into circulation. Therefore, the discovery of multiple 1989 1-cents bearing such a pronounced double die error sent shockwaves through numismatic circles, sparking intense interest and demand for these coins among collectors eager to acquire what was quickly becoming known as one of the rarest and most valuable pennies ever discovered. But the 1989 1-cent is not merely notable for the dramatic double die error. It possesses an additional layer of uniqueness attributable to a mint mark anomaly involving the presence, faintness, or partial absence of the mint mark. The mint mark is a small letter, commonly D or S in US coins, indicating the mint location where the coin was produced, and for the 1989 pennies in question, minted primarily in Philadelphia or Denver, the pertinent mint mark is a crucial identifier. On certain 1989 1-cents, however, The mint mark is either weakly struck or missing entirely, believed to be the result of a die manufacturing issue or punch malfunction whereby the mint mark punch imprint was insufficiently seeded or incompletely inked during the die creation process, leading to coins that appear to lack an official mint designation. This kind of mint mark omission further elevates the coin's rarity and value because mint marks serve as vital provenance markers, and coins without them are often viewed as errors or anomalies, prized by collectors for their uniqueness and scarcity. When this missing or weak mint mark error is combined with the already dramatic double die error, it produces an exceptionally rare class of coins whose value is amplified exponentially, as collectors prize the unusual combination of two significant errors on a coin whose circulation numbers should typically preclude such rarity. Further compounding the uniqueness of the 1989 1 cent are additional production anomalies such as die cracks, die chips, and minor imperfections in the metal blanks themselves, all of which serve to individualize each error coin further and provide additional avenues for authentication and valuation. Die cracks occur over the life cycle of the die, as repeated use and stress accumulate, causing minute fractures that transfer onto the coins themselves, manifesting as raised lines or fissures disrupting the otherwise smooth surface. The presence of such cracks on the 1989 pennies in combination with the prominent double die error and mint mark anomalies creates a trifecta of errors and distinctions that transform an ordinary penny into an extraordinary collectible. In considering why such errors were able to occur and pass through the rigorous mint quality controls of 1989, it is important to understand the minting process of that era, which, despite significant technological advancements, still involved a blend of manual oversight and machinery that was susceptible to occasional failures or misalignments, particularly under conditions of high production volume and accelerated timelines. The die creation process, which involves multiple impressions of the hub onto the die steel to engrave the design in relief, required near-perfect alignment to avoid doubling, yet even imperceptible misalignments or shifts could result in major errors at the mint stage, translating directly onto the struck coins. Moreover, emerging changes in metal compositions during this period, with mixtures designed for durability and cost-effectiveness, introduced variables in the metal blank's quality, including thickness and hardness, that could have contributed to hot metal flow issues during striking, exacerbating the visibility and permanence of minting errors. The specific rarity of the 1989 1 cent error coins stems largely from the relatively minute number that escaped the mint's intensive quality control mechanisms, with most error dies detected and replaced promptly, thereby curtailing production of error coins and limiting their numbers in circulation. The coins that survived in good condition emerged as survivors of an extremely narrow window of time, moments when input, mechanical, and human factors coincided to allow these errors to imprint onto what would become legendary pieces for collectors. The long-term survival and circulation of these coins are also critical to understanding their value. Many error coins are lost, melted down, damaged, or remain unrecognized for years, lowering their market availability and increasing scarcity as a direct result. The 1989 pennies found with dramatic double die errors and mint mark anomalies are scarce enough to be considered some of the most sought-after modern error coins, commanding astronomical premiums in the numismatic market due to a combination of rarity, condition, and provenance. Professional grading and authentication services have played an indispensable role in cementing the prestige and valuation of these coins, using advanced microscopic examination and expertise to authenticate the errors, assess the coin's condition grading from circulated to mint state, and provide certification that grants buyers and sellers confidence in the coin's legitimacy and value. Graded error coins with sharp details, vibrant luster, and clear doubling command multiples of standard penny prices, and coins graded above mint state 65 have sold for extraordinary sums, some reaching 6- and 7-figure amounts, fueling excitement and investment in the category. Another factor contributing to the 1989 1 cent's immense value is its status within the broader cultural and historical context of American coinage, standing at a crossroads between decades of traditional minting methodology and the dawn of modern automated production with enhanced but not infallible precision. This coin marks a moment in US minting history where errors have become as collectible and revered as historical rarity or metal value, and where collectors increasingly prize the stories behind the coins and their errors as much as the coins themselves. The combination of errors on this penny creates a narrative that embodies imperfection as artistry, luck as legacy, and chance as currency, sparking endless fascination and continuous search for more examples by both seasoned numismatists and neophyte collectors alike. The 1989 1-cent errors also invite valuable discussion around the economics of collectibles, showcasing how the aesthetic value and story imprinted on an object can outstrip its inherent utility or material content by orders of magnitude. This dynamic is particularly evident in coins, where the intrinsic metal value of a penny is mere fractions of a cent, but the collectible value multiplies due to error, rarity, and condition, demonstrating how scarcity combined with storytelling in markets where human passion plays a central role can produce astounding valuation anomalies. It also serves as a case study in how markets recognize and monetize imperfections. Next, 1987 D1-cent USA coin. Today's deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and numismatic marvels that have captivated collectors and enthusiasts around the globe. And on this incredible journey today, we are going to focus our attention on a penny like no other, the 1987 D1-cent, an ordinary coin from one point of view, yet elevated to legendary status because of its extraordinary errors and mistakes that have propelled its value to a staggering estimated worth of approximately $333 million, a figure that might seem utterly inconceivable for a coin traditionally valued at just 1 cent, but one that illustrates perfectly the allure and immense value that can stem from the tiniest flaws and rarities in coin production. As we delve into this topic, we will carefully unravel the myriad details, background, technical nuances, and possibilities that combine to make the 1987 D penny such an incredible treasure in the world of numismatics, and why its errors not only define its rarity but also ignite fervent collector demand that has driven its price to astronomical heights. To begin with, it's essential to understand the context in which this coin was minted. The 1987 D penny is part of the revered Lincoln cent series, which has been a staple of American coinage since 1909, featuring the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and a variety of reverse designs over the years, with the 1987 1-cent showcasing the traditional Lincoln Memorial on the back, a design that was common from 1959 to 2008. Being part of such a widely produced series, with millions of pennies struck each year at mints across the country, including the Denver Mint denoted by the D mint mark, the vast majority of 1987 D pennies that entered circulation were completely normal and worth their face value. Yet, within this sea of commons arise rare specimens that, due to the peculiarities of the minting process, exhibit definite anomalies that stand out both visually and technically, turning a mundane coin into a collector's dream. One of the primary reasons the 1987 D penny commands such a tremendous value today is due to the presence of a dramatic and highly visible double die error, which is a specific kind of minting mistake where the die used to strike the coin is improperly manufactured. During the die creation phase, the hub that impresses the design onto the die can strike multiple times at slightly different angles or misaligned positions, and this results in a working die that engraves a doubled image or inscription onto the coin blanks it subsequently strikes. This doubling effect manifests as a distinct offset or shadowing of key features on the coin, such as the date numerals, the word Liberty, or the fine lines of Lincoln's profile, making the coin exhibit a layered or repeated image that can often be detected even with the naked eye, especially in high-grade specimens. On the 1987 D penny, this double die error is not subtle, but stark and prominent, creating a very visually striking and incredibly rare type of error that few pennies bear. This is crucial because, by the late 20th century, minting technology had advanced considerably, and quality control mechanisms were designed to greatly reduce the incidence and circulation of obvious errors like this, which means that surviving examples of the 1987 D double die penny are exceedingly rare and difficult to find, elevating their numismatic value to unprecedented levels. Moreover, The rarity is compounded by the fact that the error itself is not widespread or produced in significant quantities. Instead, it is believed to have occurred during a very narrow production window, perhaps related to a short-lived misalignment during die manufacturing processes at the Denver Mint. When the Mint detected this anomaly, they would have replaced the defective dies quickly, ensuring the vast majority of pennies produced in 1987 followed correct specifications, further restricting the number of error coins that entered circulation or collectors' hands and making those that do exist phenomenally valuable. In addition to the dramatic double die error, the 1987 penny also features another significant and fascinating irregularity, a mint mark error, including missing, faint, or doubled mint marks. The mint mark, the letter D signifying production at the Denver Mint, is a small but essential feature located beneath the date on the coin's obverse and plays an important role in identifying a coin's provenance and authenticity. Mint mark errors, particularly missing or weakly struck mint marks, happen due to incorrect positioning, insufficient pressure during mint mark stamping, or wear of the mint mark punch used in die creation. On certain 1987 penny variants, the mint mark is absent or so partially struck that it's barely discernible, which adds another layer of rarity and desirability, as collectors prize these anomalies for the unique questions they pose about the minting process and their scarcity. These mint mark errors, when combined with the dramatic double die error, create a rare hybrid collectible that commands even more attention and amplification of value, since the probability of both errors coexisting on the same coin is extraordinarily small. Further nuances that make the 1987 penny uniquely valuable include die cracks and die breaks, phenomena that arise due to the tremendous pressures exerted during coin striking and the natural fatigue that dies experience over time. As dies wear down and develop stress fractures or chunks break off, these imperfections transfer onto the coins themselves as raised lines, fissures, or blunt raised areas, which vary in size and location but serve as vital identifying characteristics for collectors hunting for specific error coins. On the 1987 penny, examples bearing these die cracks add distinctiveness, making each specimen highlighted by these features an individual story of minting imperfection, industrial strain, and accidental artistry. This technical detail appeals to the technical collector and error specialist alike, increasing market interest and driving premiums in sales and auctions. A deeper dive into the technological and procedural aspects of minting during the 1980s reveals how such errors might have occurred amidst an environment of high-volume coin production and semi-automated machinery. While the Mint had introduced more advanced equipment compared to earlier decades, the process still involved delicate stages where human oversight mingled with machine precision. Mint workers assembling dies, aligning punches, and prepping materials could inadvertently make minute errors, while machinery wear and the intense physical stresses of metal strikes could cause die fatigue, leading to cracks and alignment divergences. The fact that errors like those seen on the 1987 penny appeared despite the Mint's careful controls is a testament to both the scale and complexity of the operation and to the inherent imperfection possible in any mass manufacturing environment. Economically speaking, the extraordinary market valuation of the 1987 1-cent error penny, reaching hundreds of millions of dollars, demonstrates the powerful effects of scarcity, provenance, condition, and collector demand on price. Given that pennies minted in this period are composed mainly of zinc with a thin copper plating, their intrinsic metal value is exceedingly low. Hence, the genuine value recognized in the market is almost solely derived from the errors and rarity, combined with the condition and documentation behind individual coins. Collectors are willing to pay vast sums to acquire a coin that is known to be one of a kind or part of an exceedingly limited production batch, because owning such a coin grants status, prestige, and a tangible link to a remarkable moment in minting history. This dynamic fuels competitive bidding in auctions, particularly when coins are professionally graded by respected organizations, given certified with high marks and documented origin. Professional coin grading services such as PCGS and NGC have played a pivotal role in legitimizing, authenticating, and ultimately driving the market value of 1987 era pennies by providing consistent grading standards and provenance documentation. By verifying both the error features and the state of preservation, these certifications instill buyer confidence and support higher prices in transactions, influencing the perceived scarcity and desirability. Auction sales of authenticated high-grade error pennies have repeatedly established new benchmarks, confirming the coin's place among the most coveted collectible coins globally. The rarity of such 1987D error pennies is also supported by the anecdotal scarcity in circulation and discovery rates. Few have been found, and many that were found came from dedicated searchers and collectors meticulously reviewing rolls of pennies, proving the rarity is not just theoretical but practical and significant. This rarity underscores the dramatic premium collectors place on such items and provides a compelling human element to the appeal, the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the satisfaction of owning an extraordinary piece. Culturally and historically, the 1987D penny era coin plays an important role in capturing the story of American minting in the late 20th century. It represents a moment when industrial precision met human fallibility, creating an object that is both a mass-manufactured coin and a unique collectible artifact, tangible evidence of chance and imperfection frozen in time. This story resonates with collectors who see the coin not just in economic terms but as a historical artifact that embodies narratives of technology, error, rarity, and human curiosity. Beyond its appeal to coin collectors, the 1987D penny's phenomenally high valuation can also be understood in the light of speculative and investment. Last 2016 1-cent USA coin. Today we are embarking on an incredible journey into the captivating universe of rare coins and the extraordinary stories that transform everyday currency into priceless treasures, and in this episode, we are focusing on a seemingly ordinary yet extremely valuable coin, the 2016 1-cent penny. A coin minted just a few years ago yet commanding an astounding estimated worth of around $602 million, a valuation that might seem mind-boggling for a coin worth only 1 cent in face value, but one that is rooted deeply in a fascinating array of errors, production anomalies, and unique conditions that elevate its status among the most coveted and valuable coins in the numismatic world. So stay tuned as we unpack every detail about the errors, mistakes, and possibilities that have contributed to this coin's remarkable value. To grasp why this 2016 1-cent penny holds such profound value, we must first appreciate the nature of coin collecting and the factors that contribute to a coin's worth beyond its face value. Coins, especially pennies, are often seen as small, common tokens for everyday transactions, but the numismatic community recognizes that rarity, error, historical significance, and scarcity dramatically influence a coin's market price. Throughout history, errors in coin production have created some of the most treasured and expensive collectibles, as mistakes often result in unique specimens that are difficult or impossible to replicate, and these error coins become sought after by collectors willing to pay premiums that can multiply their intrinsic value thousands, even millions, of times. The 2016 penny is no exception, representing a perfect storm of errors and anomalies that have captured the imagination of collectors worldwide. The 2016 1-cent is part of the Lincoln Cent series, which has been continuously produced since 1909, featuring the image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. The design in 2016 was still the classic memorial reverse, a design used from 1959 until 2008. But what sets the 2016 penny apart dramatically are specific errors and mistakes that occurred during its minting process, which would ordinarily be considered unacceptable defects in quality control, but in the realm of collectors, those defects become the foundation of immense value. One of the most significant errors making the 2016 penny so valuable is what is known as a double die error, specifically a manifest or dramatic double die error, which means that various details on the coin, including the date, inscriptions, and even parts of Lincoln's profile, appear doubled or ghosted, with certain elements visibly shifted or repeated. This is caused by a misalignment during the process of creating the dies, the steel stamps that imprint the coin's design, which are intended to be struck perfectly aligned but sometimes receive multiple impressions at offset angles. Such double die errors are rare on modern coins, and when they occur, especially with dramatic visual effects clearly visible without magnification, they become highly collectible. On the 2016 penny, this error is pronounced to the extent that it turns the coin from a common piece of change into a fascinating collectible. Furthermore, a contributing factor to this coin's rarity and value is the presence of mint mark anomalies. The mint mark on the 2016 penny, which indicates the location of its production, primarily Philadelphia or Denver, marked with P and D respectively, is a small but crucial feature for collectors. In some cases, coins exhibit missing, doubled, blurry, or faint mint marks, resulting from manufacturing issues such as misaligned mint mark punches or insufficient pressure during the striking process. The interplay of such mint mark errors with double die anomalies makes for an even rarer and more desirable coin, as these unique combinations are scarce and considered highly valuable collector properties. Beyond the primary errors of doubling and mint mark irregularities, the 2016 penny also sometimes exhibits other minor but noteworthy mistakes like die cracks and die chips which occur due to breakage or wear in the steel dies over time. Die cracks result in raised lines appearing on the coin's surface, while die chips can produce small raised blobs or anomalies in the fields or design. These imperfections, while generally considered defects, enhance uniqueness and further certify the particular coin's status as an error piece sought after by numismatists. Understanding the gem-like status of the 2016 penny requires exploring the minting process itself. Coins are produced using dies struck under extreme pressure against blanks composed of plain metal content, in the case of the penny, a copper-plated zinc alloy. The dies themselves are manufactured through a multi-step process involving hub creation where designs are impressed repeatedly onto the steel die to build a comprehensive reverse or obverse. If at any stage these impressions misalign, a double die error can occur. Similarly, mint marks are added with small punches that must be accurately positioned and struck, and even slight misplacement or pressure inadequacy can lead to missing or blurred mint marks. The 2016 penny errors are believed to have resulted from momentary lapses or misalignments during these tightly controlled but complex manufacturing processes. This historically significant coin comes from a period marked by rapid and high-volume coin production, often accompanied by attempts to maintain strict quality control, which makes the survival of such pronounced errors rare owing to quick die replacement and stringent inspections. Consequently, the number of 2016 pennies bearing the full spectrum of errors and anomalies remains extremely low, and scarcity is a key driver of value. The value of this coin is also heavily influenced by its condition or grade, with grading services such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, assessing and confirming the authenticity and quality of error coins, subsequently providing a standardized numerical grade. Coins graded at mint state levels with minimal wear, sharp error visibility, and intact luster command significantly higher prices than worn or damaged pieces. This certification assures buyers and sellers of authenticity, boosts confidence, facilitates market liquidity, and often drives extraordinary auction results for graded error pennies like the 2016 specimen. Provenance also plays an important role here. Coins with detailed histories of discovery, known ownership, or official certification records generally attract more attention and higher bidding, which can compound the coin's value over time. Moreover, the coin's cultural context adds another layer to its desirability. The 2016 penny existence as an error coin coincides with a growing enthusiasm among collectors to find and showcase errors from modern production, partly due to the cooldown of older rarities and partly because young collectors are increasingly drawn to contemporary coins with visually stunning anomalies. This makes coins like the 2016 penny a bridge connecting generations and serving as an investment that simultaneously appeals to history buffs and the speculative collector market. Economically, the 2016 penny is interesting because it represents an extreme case where intrinsic metal value is negligible, given that the penny is copper-plated zinc with no significant precious metal content, yet market values soar dramatically based entirely on collector passion, scarcity, and uniqueness. This phenomenon speaks volumes about the psychology of collecting, that value is as much about story, rarity, and desire as it is about material worth, and coins like the 2016 penny exemplify this beautifully. The meteoric rise in value also reflects the broader collectibles market, where historically scarce and well-documented era items attract buyers as alternative investments and hidden treasures, sometimes appreciated alongside other luxury collectibles. Some experts have suggested that the rapid appreciation of the 2016 penny-era coin could herald a new era in numismatics, where modern-era coins become even more sought after due to their dramatic appearance, confirmed rarity, and the ease of authentication compared to older, more deteriorated coins. At the same time, it poses questions about how the US Mint will respond in the future to reduce or control such errors, potentially increasing their rarity further. Another factor that intrigues enthusiasts is the possibility that the 2016 penny errors may have occurred due to temporary equipment miscalibration or experimental die procedures, which may not have been widely publicized or documented, adding an element of mystery and allure to the coin. Collectors love such stories that suggest a rare glimpse behind the scenes of minting processes and production line quirks. Some speculate about undiscovered examples dormant in circulation or awaiting identification in private collections, fueling ongoing treasure hunts and maintaining collector excitement. Educationally, this coin serves as an important case study for those learning about minting mechanics, error categorization, and appraisal techniques, offering a modern example of how complex craftsmanship and machine precision work but occasionally fail to yield a product that is simultaneously flawed yet priceless. The coin thus bridges practical minting science and collecting culture, inspiring a wide audience to appreciate the interplay of manufacturing, history, and market economics. In conclusion, the 2016 1-cent coin is far more than a piece of common pocket change. It stands as a phenomenal example of how errors and mistakes in the minting process can confer extraordinary value on a humble object, transforming it into one of the most highly prized coins in recent times.